Hey there.
Hey Matt, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well.
That's good.
Hey everyone,
Hey IP, how are you?
good. Whee! Yeah, I'm doing fine. Yeah.
Good.
Cool. Yeah. Hey Patrick. So I have the first agenda item, and he can't hear us yet. Dum 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 dum. Hey Patrick.
Hey.
Cool. So first question was like, shall we record this? Tori says yes, and I agree. I mean, the agenda is public. If someone has something to discuss that they don't want on recording, just put it at the end of the agenda and say, obviously the agenda is also public, so don't put it there, but say I have something that I want to discuss, not on recording. Okay, cool. Should we have a standing agenda? I think this can evolve. We need to see. This is my opinion, right? It might be that someone already has like, I have these items that I want to bring up every 2 weeks. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what your opinions are on that. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And it'll evolve over time. We can figure it out as we go.
I agree. Evolution is great.
Awesome. All right, well, I put a few things in here. Just FYIs, mostly. Sorry, I was distracted by all the A's from Patrick. But the first one, I just want to let you all know, I created a UX Foundation's interest label, which is, I guess, my way of tracking things that UX Foundations really wants to schedule that are in the backlog. So I don't have to continuously go through the backlog all the time. I can kind of just use that label. There are issues that need front-end support, so we wouldn't really be able to do it just ourselves on the UX side. So all of the issues that we moved out of 13.8 and 13.9, I added that label to, so we can just easily go through and find what, if we have capacity, what we can pull in.
So does this have the same implications as the CEO interest channel? So every time we pick one up, we need to ping UX Foundations?
No. I don't even know about that. I don't even know
so there are issues with the CEO interest label, and if you solve them or do something with them, you're supposed to ping Sid and not be like, hey.
Well, you can ping us so then we can congratulate and say thank you. But otherwise, no, you don't need to ping us.
No, it's just a joke.
Yeah, I know. And then my second one, the UX Foundation's members have been having to reach out to outside of the team for front-end support, and they are starting to feel a little bit bad about asking a lot of the same people who were from the GitLab UI working group for help. So thanks IP for building that tool for the reviewers. I passed that along and they were like, wow, this is so awesome. So I wanted to say thanks for that because it kind of gives them a view of who doesn't have merge requests assigned to them. And then I also just wanted to throw out there if anyone has any other thoughts or ideas of how the UX Foundations team can get front-end support over time. If you have anything, then just let me know.
I mean, I think I have continued to champion getting more headcount for foundations every time I get the opportunity to say so. In general, if you and IP can kind of help give me data to back up like the growing backlog and how there's kind of continued and growing debt to address, like just anything that gives me more ammo to take to product leadership and say, look, this is important and this is a growing problem and it is not properly supported today. That is kind of helpful in the long term. That doesn't help in the short term, right? Separate conversation, but just like keeping that in the back of your head. If there's anything that you can kind of send me to help strengthen that case, always do so and let me know.
Yeah, definitely. Will do. IB's typing.
Yeah, additionally, we also have people who would be interested in the work. So there are a few engineers that are interested in helping out on, and would be glad to be on our team. It's unfortunate that the headcount that the headcount doesn't necessarily match what we need.
Do you know if those people are people who are interested in helping out while they're on the other team, or are they interested in joining our team at some point in the future?
So to be honest, like it varies, right? You sometimes have people who would be interested to join, and then if you ask them later, because there was this opportunity to potentially join or whatever, when headcounts was all a bit different, then they lost interest because their work became more interesting. It fluctuates, but I would say both.
Okay.
I don't know if it would make sense for the people who would be interested in helping out to basically create a list of those people, right? To not just fall back on the working group members, but be like, hey, are you interested in contributing more to GitLab UI, to accessibility? Here is a direct thing, and and then also getting buy-in from the other front-end managers and product managers to be like, hey, I mean, it always feels like the smartest idea would be to find something that relates to front-end foundations and their product group, right? To be like, hey, we're going to improve accessibility of, I don't know, the pipelines view. So your people from Verify would be interested in doing that, and Verify would benefit from it. That's the,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you do come up with, or if you hear people who say that they're interested, I can always find a million things to pass their way. So just let me know.
I will, as a follow-up item, just create something in the handbook that people can add themselves to and advertise it. Yeah.
That's a good idea. Thanks.
Something in the handbook, or maybe even in the team YAML, right? So if we would add it as a role to that tool, you could basically be like, I don't know, UX Foundations buddy or whatever, right? You could click it and then you see it, and ask people to add. To be honest, like it has been weird in these past few months, and depends from team to team, because every team has so much to do, and sometimes people, if I just go out there and advertise like, hey, please add yourselves to that and help contribute, it's not always seen. People don't appreciate it all the time, because it's like, hey, I have the fear that my people won't do their deliverables, or hey, maybe even that person is underperforming. I really don't want them to focus on their stuff. So I will ask the other managers what they think, and create an MR to the handbook as a first step, and get the other managers involved. And
sounds good.
Cool.
Awesome. And then my last point here is just kind of an FYI that the UX Foundation team has an OKR to complete this 26-hour accessibility course. We'll write up an outline of kind of what we learned and how it relates to GitLab, so we can share that with everybody who's interested. It would be cool if front-end foundations went through the course, but I don't know what the budgeted time. I mean, it's a pretty significant time investment. So, but something to keep on your radar for either next quarter or something in the future if you don't have time this quarter. If UX Foundations goes through it and then says like, oh, it's really valuable, then maybe it's something front-end does next quarter or something like that.
Yeah, given that front-end foundations officially is just Mike and me, I wonder if it then makes more sense to have an OKR, you know, of having X front-end engineers completing the course and getting also people to help out on this.
Yeah. Cool. That's all for me. Over to you, Patrick.
Yeah, so I just, FYI, I made a bunch of scope labels for integration. Actually, it's scope, so it's integration. Ooh, just make it easy to find stuff. Just FYI, in case y'all digging around and looking for things associated to a thing, there should be much better labeling for individual integrations. It's just gotten to a point where my original concept was I would have this kind of series of epics where I could just kind of put everything in a library, and that became unmanageable over time. So this is much more reasonable way to approach it. It's just also, I liked being able to browse through the epics. It gave me a hierarchical structure that made it easy to understand where things were at and what was next to what, but it was just unmanageable. So anyway, that's where I'm at. That's all I had. Yes.
For which integrations did you create it? Just like the most important one, like Jira, Slack, and so on?
All of them.
All of them. Oh, wow.
Yes. Many of which don't have anything in there, but they exist in case we need it. So every integration that is listed in the docs has one. There's also a meta one for like integration : new for requests of new integrations. That one's actually been around for a while. I think I renamed it. It was like new integration previously or whatever. But yeah, so it just makes it much easier for me to review what's out there and what the total volume of requests is. And actually, I have a board. Sorry, loading. Here we go. So I have a board that I'll paste in here in a second. Just that I use to organize everything, but it, anyway, that's all.
How many of the integrations do we not own?
How many do we not own?
Like, for example, there's the Kubernetes integration or the whatever. There's like some stuff that Monitor used to own, and it came up in a retro recently. Do we have like a list of stuff, you know, in case it appears in the integrations overview, but it's not actually maintained by us?
No.
Okay, good. So,
We don't. There is. It's one of those, like, how do you define integrations? For our purposes, what we mean is what we used to call project services. And there are a number of literally integrations that are not formally known as project services. Take like the integration with GKE, right? Like totally unrelated to ecosystem, but is very clearly an integration. It's just not. So yeah, we don't have a good list of what those are. No. So anyway, FYI, in case it's useful, valuable. That's all.
yeah. So what do you folks want to get out of this meeting that you cannot get out of the integrations weekly? I really don't want to go in here and be like, I want to cancel it right away. I think it's just like something to keep in mind. I mean, my personal motivation is like to have 3 one-on-ones less, but you know, is there something specific? I don't know, maybe is there something specific that you have in mind that you really want to get out of this one?
For specifics, I think just in general, it's something I know. I think I talked individually to all 3 of you at the end of the year about, especially with Matt joining the team, making sure that we're able to talk to both. I am able to talk to both Matt and IP at the same time is valuable. Especially, you know, we don't have anything right this second that is a good example, but like that's going to be valuable. Similarly, right? Like for Tori's needs, like same thing. I know generally speaking, it's going to, like anything that Foundations needs is going to fall under your purview, IP, but that's not necessarily always going to be the case, and always valuable to just have that broader audience and just make sure that all 4 of us are kind of lined up on things. That's really what it is. It's like, yes, broadly, maybe reduces the need for one-on-ones, but also just to keep all 4 of us in sync, I think is highly valuable.
Yeah, I could see benefit too around as we're doing milestone planning, just sitting down, the 4 of us together can kind of figure some of that out around resources and what the priorities are, instead of I've had success with that in the past of, it goes faster if we just sit down and kind of go through a high level overview versus all of us individually talking to each other.
Anyone else? Tori, what do you want to get out of it?
Yeah, I was thinking for me, I'm seeing kind of and I don't know if I believe this or not, which is why I'm hesitating, but I'm seeing the team call being more for like the team, and this call is more for me to get help to support the team. So like, what do I need to come here with in order to ask you all certain questions or tell you certain things so that I can better help the team?
Yeah, for sure.
Completely agree. Yeah. I mean, the integrations weekly also is with so many people involved, sometimes there's really like, hey, there are going to be topics that don't, interest a lot of people. I mean, this is the downside of sync meetings, but, it's always good to have a forum. And I think it's the same thing here. Probably there are a few discussions, where it's interesting to Tori and Patrick, and there are some that are more interesting to, and me, and there are some that are interesting to Matt, me and Patrick, but yeah, so good. Cool. Yeah, that being said, we can also end the call early, right? Yeah, it was great seeing you all. I hope you had a nice weekend, and I hope that everything that needs to be done before the end of the quarter goes well for you. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks for setting this up, IP.
No worries.
You're
Yeah.
gonna say something, Patrick?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we stop recording for a second?
Yes, let me just stop recording.
Cool.
Wait, no,